Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and I want to talk to you today about our addiction to the sweet taste. You know, as part of our series on prediabetes and blood sugar, I want to talk about how addicted we are to this one taste called sweet. You know, in Ayurveda, there are 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salt, pungent, bitter, and astringent. And all 6 tastes are supposed to be there at every single meal. The word for taste and emotion are the same in India, and therefore it was understood that by having a balanced meal with all 6 tastes, you balance your emotional state and your physiology. It's a mind-body experience. But in our culture, we have become addicted to the sweet taste, maybe the sweet, sour, and salty taste. We have, you know, if you go to a fast food restaurant, you have sweet milkshakes and salt on your French fries and pickles on your burgers. Those 3 tastes, sweet, sour, and salt, tend to calm the nervous system and make you feel less stressed. But excessive amounts make you feel complacent and dull and create obesity and congestion. Very dangerous. And that's something like what's happened in our culture. We have an obesity issue and a weight gain issue, possibly due to an excessive amount of these 3 tastes. So what we do in our culture, instead of eating more of the bitter and pungent and astringent foods, bitter foods like the leafy green vegetables, pungent foods like spicy gingers and spicy foods, and the astringent foods like beans and pomegranates. Not pomegranate juice where they squeeze out all the sugar and you're just drinking juice. 1 serving of pomegranate juice is like 31 grams of sugar. The whole fruit, not concentrating our foods, have a balanced palate, very astringent. So the astringent pomegranate and beans and cucumbers, the leafy greens, and of course the pungent foods tend to balance those very addictive tastes like the sweet and the sour and the salt. But what do we do in our culture? We go, well, you know, we found that sugar was bad, so we make high fructose corn syrup. Still tastes sweet, but supposedly better for you. Well, that turned out not to be the case. And then they went into, giving us artificial sugars. And we found that that's saccharin and sucralose and aspartame, many studies. And I write about those studies in the article associated with this video. And this article is really about all the different sweeteners that I want you to become aware of. I list all the sweet names that are on the sweetener names that are on the labels of all the foods. So you have a list of all the names of the sweeteners that are hidden in our foods that you don't know. So you can begin to kind of tune in to know what you're looking for as you begin to avoid the sweets. And then there are, and I talk about this in the article, the sugar alcohols. Unlike stevia, hundreds of times more sweet than regular sugar, saccharin, hundreds of times more sweet than sugar. The sugar alcohols are only half as sweet, so they're not so bad. And they're not so bad. There's not any studies that I could find that show that they're dangerous. But again, they're the sweet taste. Those are the xylitols and the mannitols and the other types of kind of sugar alcohol sweeteners that are there. So those are okay. But the problem is that we haven't broken our addiction to the sweet taste. We keep inventing new kinds of sweets that are supposedly healthy and turn out not to be. And maybe what we need to do is find that there's a sweet taste in a vegetable. Did you know that your vegetables are actually carbohydrates? They're wrapped in cellulose, so they don't taste that sweet, but when you chew them, the sweet is in fact released in a very slow, steady process. And it's actually a sugar that we're ingesting when we eat those vegetables. We've become so addicted to the injection of sweet that we don't taste the sweet in vegetables anymore. Many people don't even like the vegetables, and that's a dangerous place. And when you have those injected, concentrated sweets, they activate dopamine receptors in the brain. And dopamine is the I gotta have it hormone. And when you see that dark chocolate, sometimes even think about the dark chocolate, the dopamine starts to rise in your bloodstream. When you see the logo of a Starbucks, the dopamine levels start to rise in your bloodstream because your brain anticipates the injection. And we have created a culture where we look for these injections. So we have to break our cultural habit to the sweet taste. So please take a look at your plate next time you eat and see if you can find the sweet, sour, salty taste. If you have to add a little pepper to it, then do that. And you can begin to spice your food appropriately to bring your foods into balance. Great way to bring your food and your meals into balance, and definitely begin to be aware of our addiction to that sweet taste and how terrible it is for you. So please read the article associated with this video about the sweet taste, and please read the rest of the articles in this series on blood sugar and prediabetes. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard.